I don't know, John. Why don't you tell us? My, he's awful quiet today. I kind of like it, actually. This is actually pretty much what it is like talking to him. Did you hear me?
Before Kim Plath, before Cody Brown, even before Jim Bob Duggar, there was Kate Gosselin, pioneer of the asymmetrical bob and widely regarded as the original Karen. What Not to Wear was the show that got me hooked on TLC reality TV, and then my college roommate introduced me to John and Kate Plus 8. Kate terrified me. As a teen, I sometimes thought my mom was hard on me, and then I watched this show, and I was forever grateful for the mom that I have. John and Kate Plus 8 became Kate Plus 8 after John and Kate divorced. It really should have been called Kate Plus 7 because one of the sextuplets mysteriously disappeared from filming and from his siblings' lives. Collin Gosselin was sent to a live-in behavioral facility when he was just 12 years old. He is now 19 and speaking out against his mom's abusive parenting style. His words. Kate and Collin's older sister, Mady, have issued statements calling Collin violent. It is a really heartbreaking situation that this family continues to fracture so publicly. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into today's video. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Much like the Duggars' path to reality TV, John and Kate were initially featured in TLC's specials on their Atypical Family. According to Wikipedia, after the success of 2 one-hour specials chronicling Kate Gosselin and her then-husband John surviving sextuplets and twins, and 1 year later, the series aired on the Discovery Health Channel for the first 2 seasons before being moved to TLC. During its run, the series was one of the network's highest-rated programs, with the 5th season premiere seen by a record 9.8 million viewers, the most-watched show of that evening, including broadcast television. Twice as many viewers as the show's previous series high. Chaos with production and the show's future ensued when John and Kate announced their divorce. What we as viewers and them as family were about to embark on is possibly one of the messiest divorces ever to play out so publicly. And it continues to be a spectacle to this day. And their 8 kids are the ultimate victims of their parents' objectively shit parenting choices. What we see now are 8 children that either don't have a relationship with one of their parents, most of their siblings, or both. It is really heartbreaking to see this as the outcome when so many of us have enjoyed watching these kids grow up over the years. In July of 2023, the network Vice announced their new series, The Dark Side of the 2000s, and the flagship episode of this series was about John and Kate Plus 8. I will link the episode for you in the description of this video. 3 members of the Gosselin family participated in this doc. John and 2 of the sextuplets, Collin and Hannah. Kate, the twins Mady and Cara, and the 4 remaining sextuplets, Joel, Aiden, Leah, and Alexis, did not participate in this episode. I watched the episode and I thought it was pretty well done, albeit one-sided, because Kate chose not to participate. That's on her.
In like February of, I want to say 2007 or 8, we filmed every single day except for 2.
Keep that in mind because I will circle back to that later. As I mentioned in the intro of this video, Kate Gosselin terrified me. I can appreciate that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. Lord knows I am not one, and John Gosselin certainly wasn't a perfect parent either. But Kate Gosselin took toxic parenting and raised it to an art form.
No dessert if we can't get a picture. No, Leah, you're not in far enough. Collin? Collin Thomas? That is strike 3 for you.
But Aiden did it. Aiden did it.
If you get 1 bit of wet, you're in bed. What's the answer? Stay away from the pool.
She just raised her hand and hit me again.
I'm a girl.
No, that hurt with your ring.
I'm so
Right on my scar. Thanks. Get off me. So, what?
You just ramble so much.
So what?
It indeed is her room, and she was up here playing. I don't ever want to hear that's not her room again. That is her room. Her bed is there.
Then she can help clean it up.
Yes. Boy, that was a bright deduction.
I can also appreciate how overwhelming it must have been to have 8 kids, 6 of them newborns at the same time. But Kate was often nasty to her husband and her kids with little to no provocation. It seemed like pretty much any inconvenience could set Kate off, and it didn't matter where they were or if they were being filmed. Kate would not hesitate to berate her kids and her husband whenever she was ticked off, and that was pretty much all the time. John and Kate Plus 8 ended in 2009 after contract negotiations fell through with John. In 2010, TLC slightly rebranded the series, calling it Kate Plus 8, focusing on Kate's life as a single mom. At the same time, these kids were being subjected to nonstop, and I mean literal nonstop filming. Their parents were engaging in a very nasty and very public divorce and custody battle. Viewers noticed that one of the sextuplets, Collin, was no longer appearing on the show. Kate had to address why one of her 12-year-olds, who she had sole legal custody of, was not appearing on the reality show about their lives.
We see your son Collin in this new season, but a few months ago you revealed that he is away seeking treatment for educational and social challenges. How did you come to that decision? It had to be a really tough one.
It was not even really a choice. It was on the advice of his doctors, but it definitely was necessary. This is the best thing I can do for him right now.
There are reports that Collin told staffers at his treatment facility that he was abused by you, and Child Services reportedly opened an investigation.
I'm in the public eye. I've been investigated many times. It's always unfounded, obviously.
John said that he has no idea where Collin is and that he has not seen him in a year and a half.
We are both court-ordered not to speak about the care and custody of our children in detail. I've known all along where he is, but the world doesn't know, and I'll leave it at that.
John's in that world. John says he's going to court to get a judge to force you to reveal Collin's whereabouts.
This divorce and custody battle was the highest level of fuckery, and both Kate and John have a lot to be ashamed of for how they conducted themselves. Kate not disclosing to Collin's father where he is served no purpose other than to torture her son, who she institutionalized, because she wasn't visiting him regularly, and she would be damned if she would let John come in as some sort of knight in shining armor for him. And she seemed to relish, as we see here in this clip, making John's legal right to visitation as difficult as possible. She actually smirks here, saying she was abiding by the court orders not to disclose his whereabouts. Clearly, that obviously did not mean his father, and Kate knows that. Kate Plus 8 has been off the air since 2017. So why are the Gosselins in the news here in 2023? Well, aside from this episode of Vice's Dark Side of the 2000s, in November of 2022, the child Kate institutionalized, Collin, spoke out in an exclusive interview with Entertainment Tonight.
I was in two different institutions. Scary place. I was actually 12 when I got admitted there, and then it was like I spent my 13th and 14th birthday there.
At the time, Kate said Collin's institutionalization was due to, quote, special needs.
It's unfortunate that that's how my mom, phrased me as a person.
But you shouldn't have been there is what you're saying to me.
No.
Collin told me he was finally able to leave the institution after writing John this gut-wrenching letter begging for help. Quote, "You're my dad, my savior. Please help me. I'm counting on you to get me out of here. Daddy, I love you." In 2018, John says he was granted temporary full custody.
Your mom didn't show up to the custody hearing. Did it bother you that she didn't show up?
It didn't really bother me. I mean, they just gave it to my dad, and she wasn't there to put her word in, so that's what happened.
The big bombshell here was that Collin firmly believes the reason he was sent away was because he didn't like filming. Therefore, he wasn't cooperative on camera, and he was starting to speak out about his mother's abuse.
And, I want to think that she needed someone to take out her anger and her frustration on, and that it was just kind of me. I was in the way, and I was there, so she chose me.
Like we saw in that earlier clip, Kate admits to being investigated by Child Protective Services numerous times, and every time the investigation turns out to be, in her words, unfounded. In this Vice episode, it's not just Collin and John's word against Kate's. Hannah gives insight into how differently Collin was treated when they were growing up.
He would be separated from us. Like, he would not get to come and play outside with us. He would eat dinner at different times than us.
Unfortunately, it's not unheard of for one child to be singled out as the focus of a parent's mistreatment. If Collin was resistant to filming and made things more difficult for Kate, it is foreseeable that she would target him. Look at how she treats John on camera. We see very clearly what it's like to be caught in Kate's crosshairs, and it is not pretty. Something that this episode touched on in the Vice documentary, but I thought should have been talked about more, was the controversy around the filming condition the kids were in. Wikipedia actually summarizes it quite well, saying, between the specials and the series, permanent light fixtures were installed in the Gosselins' second home to make filming easier and prevent the kids from tripping over the wires and cables from temporary lighting. John and Kate Plus 8 filmed 3 days per week, with 1 day used for interview sessions where John, Kate, and occasionally the 3 children discussed events occurring in each episode. In the family's first house, the interview corner was located in the basement and was transformed from the playroom when needed. It was painted green, unlike the rest of the playroom. In the new house, the interview set was reproduced in an unfinished area of the basement. At season 4's finale, John and Kate said that they would make a new set for season 5. Criticisms were raised regarding Kate's intention of continuing with the show, as well as whether or not the children were being exploited or were under emotional distress. According to lawyer Gloria Allred, quote, every state does regulate to protect the health, the safety, and welfare of little child performers. And these little ones are only 8 years old and 5 years old. They cannot protect themselves. So the state has to be sure that they are safe in their workplace. Can we all agree that an 8 and a 5-year-old should not be in a workplace? Anyways. In the case of the show, the children's workplace is their home. At this point, there are no clear laws in Pennsylvania where the Gosselins reside regarding a child's appearance on a reality show. However, Pennsylvania law permits children who are at least 7 years old to work in the entertainment industry as long as certain guidelines are followed and a permit is obtained. For example, children may not work after 11:30 p.m. under most circumstances or perform in any location that serves alcohol. Kate says that the children were happy and healthy and were never in any danger from doing the show. John stated they were in talks regarding ensuring the children's happiness and that there is no truth to any reports that the children have been hurt by the series. For their part, TLC released a statement saying that the network fully complies with all applicable laws and regulations to produce the show. The statement also said, for an extended period of time, we have engaged in cooperative discussions and supplied all requested information to the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. An investigation by the Pennsylvania Bureau of Labor Law Compliance found, quote, the activity being filmed was spontaneous. However, children introduced episodes of the television show and transitions. DVDs and other merchandise were sold involving the children's appearance. Lighting was placed in the home for the show, and there was product placement in some episodes. Because of these reasons, the children were considered to be working on the show, and the show was required to obtain work permits for the children, which it did not do. An agreement was reached that no charges would be filed immediately as long as no further violations would occur. Kate and John saying their kids weren't hurt by the series is objectively a lie when one of the kids ends up in a behavioral institution. Kate's own family members went public accusing their nieces and nephews of being exploited.
Even Kate's own family believes the show should end for the good of the Gosselin children.
They're being exploited. And it's time for America to see the situation for what it really is.
What happened to Collin is tragic. According to John in the Vice documentary, Collin ended up getting him a note written in crayon, and that is how John was able to discover where Collin was. So this episode comes out a couple weeks ago, and then Collin's older sister, Mady, one of the twins, issues a statement on her Instagram.
Maddies Gosselin issues a rare statement accusing her brother Collin of physical violence and hate speech. The John and Kate Plus 8 star broke her silence on Instagram Wednesday, opening up about her estranged family, one day after Collin's bombshell interview aired on Vice TV's Dark Side of the 2000s. Mady claims she's been overwhelmed by hate messages before explaining that she doesn't owe her allegiance to anyone who she claims has physically threatened her and every member of her immediate family. Mady adds that she will never allow someone to be in her life who she says has exhibited hateful and even violent behavior towards others based in their racial identity, gender identity, or religious beliefs. Mady refuses to compromise even for her brother, whom she claims made his opinions very clear in private. Mady says she's not interested in rebuilding her relationship with Collin and is asking for peace and privacy and no more hate mail going forward.
We heard from Hannah in the documentary. I don't have an issue whatsoever with Mady giving her perspective. Hey everyone, editing Sarah here. I forgot to include this when I was recording, but I came across this interview with Kate and her two oldest twins, Mady and Kara, and I think it's pretty interesting, Mady and Kara's demeanor in this interview, so I just wanted to include that in this video.
Kate, Kara, and Maddies Gosselin are with us now. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Well, we have not seen you or gotten to talk to you two in a long, long time, and you're out because you want to let the world know that you're doing okay. Mady, what would you want to say about how you and your sister and your family are doing?
Mady, your words.
Oh,
it's your
hard.
chance.
It's a hard question. What about you, Kara?
So this is their chance to talk. This is the most wordless I've heard them all morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for them, but Mady, go ahead. Sort of the things that you said in the magazine, that years later, they're good, they're fine. Go for it, Mad. It's your chance.
No, you just said it.
Oh, I said it.
What I did find extremely gross was Kate issued this statement to her Instagram. Quote, "I have never wanted to have to do this, but I feel I have been backed into a corner and left with no choice. Although it saddens me to do so, I need to speak out now. My son Collin, who I love with all my heart, has received multiple psychiatric diagnoses over the years. For the safety of myself, his brothers and sisters, and for his own well-being, he was placed in a facility following years of outpatient treatment, which proved insufficient for his needs. The decision to admit him was made by emergency room doctors following one of his many attacks/outbursts. This one involving his use of a weapon. Fast forward to the present day, and following John's removal of Collin from treatment, my son's unpredictable and violent behavior has sadly continued regularly towards John, Hannah, and others around him. Collin's distorted perception of reality is one of the many issues that he has always struggled with. As many people who have family members grappling with mental health issues can attest, it is rarely and sadly surprising when complete fabrications occur. And this is just another heartbreaking facet of this fight. All parent-child relationships are complex, but when mental illness is involved, it is incredibly complicated and painful, let alone easy for others on the outside to understand. All measures that were taken in our home were at the explicit recommendation of his pediatric psychiatrist and or his team of specialists, and were put into place to safeguard every member of our family, our friends, as well as our family pets. Unfortunately, I believe Collin remains a very troubled young man who continues to need a lot of help. His brothers and sisters and I have not been directly involved in his life due to his history of unpredictable behavior and violent tendencies toward us. What his sister Mady posted on social media recently is completely accurate, and I deeply appreciate her bravery in doing so. This is all I have to say on the matter, and I will not be discussing this subject any further at this time. With the amount of filming the kids went through, I will say I didn't see any of the kids behaving out of character for their ages. That's just my opinion. What we do see on the show is irrefutable evidence of Kate's verbal abuse, and that is directed towards her husband and kids at different times. Honestly, my inclination is to believe Hannah. My personal belief is that Collin tended to be more uncooperative with the rigorous filming schedule, so Kate started taking any and all frustrations out on him. John adamantly refutes Kate's claims that Collin is violent. Additionally, apparently Collin is enlisted in the Marine Corps, and people have pointed out that he would not have been able to enlist if he had all of these psychiatric diagnoses. Coming out and doubling down in a statement like this to besmirch your own child is pretty gross, in my opinion. We have seen a lot of toxic parenting over the years on TLC, but Kate Gosselin is truly the toxic parenting trailblazer. Let me know your thoughts on this hot mess, and definitely check out the Vice episode. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel, and also check out my second channel, Sarah Spills. A link will be in the description of this video. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.